Welcome to the public hearing for our 2017 budget. We would like to open the public hearing on the school committee budget. The time now is 6:35 p.m. Before we start, I would like to explain how the hearing will be conducted this evening. We encourage public comments and invite you to come and share your feedback. We want people to feel comfortable coming forward. There will be no comments from the school committee members tonight. Please direct all your questions this evening to the chair. The chair will direct your questions to the appropriate people here this evening. If you have a series of questions, please tell us and we will do our best to respond to. When you come to the microphone, please state your name and street address. At this time, I would like to open up the public hearing for our 2007 school budget. Is there anyone in the audience this evening wishing to come up and speak regarding our budget? Okay, not seeing anyone wishing to speak this evening, I'd like to turn it over now to our superintendent, Mr. Malone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This evening, certainly we'd like to do a further presentation regarding our proposed budget for FY18. And at this time, I'd like to certainly bring on Ms. Matthews to talk a little bit more in detail about it.
Okay, in your packets, you should all have about 16 pages, 16 or 17 pages packet that says public hearing. I'm going to just kind of be going through that tonight. So the presentation is very similar to what we did in February. So we're going to start on page 3 and I'm going to just kind of do a summary of each section. So on page 1, we have all the administrative costs. So on the bottom of the page, you can see that the administrative costs only rose by 1.04%. And the reason for the lower increase this year for that is that some of our technology costs we moved to district-wide instructional technology. We also had a decrease in the budget office, in the business office with our personnel, which resulted in overall savings for the business office. And if you look further at the account lines, we tried to move the budgets on a more actual, so that's where some of the changes are reflected. I did in the right column put the numbers and a little bit of the description for the changes that are on the bottom. So if you go to page 4, that's where we start our instructional, which is the 2000 series. Overall, the instructional lines have a 4.28% increase, which you would see at the top of the next page. But some things to note in the 2000 series, we're now in year 2 of a 3-year contract. FY18 is year 3. The majority of the 4.28% increase is in regards to the contractual obligations. In our principal supplies, we did have a significant decrease, as it didn't cost us as much as we anticipated for some wipes that we needed in highly trafficked areas due to a student allergy. Our textbook increase is offset with general supplies and other instructional materials. And then finally, under classroom instructional hardware, this is where the text supplies from the 1000 series got moved in from the previous slide. Go to page 5. At the top, this is where you reflect the 4.28% increase. Then we go to the 3000 series, which is other student services. We have a large increase of 12.16%. We went out to bid this year for a new 3-year contract for our in-district transportation. We've now finalized the busing contract and are currently working with the numbers. There will be a slight decrease of about $15,000, which we plan on putting into maintenance of buildings. This will not change the overall operating costs. We budgeted the full cost for athletic coaches into our main budget, as our transportation costs have increased due to increasing sporting events and teams, so the athletic fees will cover the cost of the transportation. And lastly, we added the final 25% of the resource officer to our appropriation. It was an agreement that the schools had with the police department for the resource officer grant. It was a 3-year grant in which the school is going to own the expense after the 3 years. In each year, we had to increase our budget to cover the cost of the grant. This fiscal year, we budgeted for 75%. Next year, we budgeted for the whole 100% of the second officer, and then we own the expense completely. In the 4000 series, which is near the bottom of the page, we show a 1.75% increase. You will see fluctuations within these accounts, but it's just putting the budgets under the proper account numbers. If you go to page 6, this is our 5000 series, which is our fixed charges. We do have a large 61.54% increase. This is due to FY18 impending retirements and our contractual obligation to pay our sick leave buyback. The 7,000 series for equipment replacement, there's a big decrease because we took some of those expenses and put them under the proper 4,000 accounts. So our overall budget for regular education is a 4.59% increase, or $1,328,151. Go to page 7. This is our special education budget. You can see that there is a 17% decrease in case managers and contracted services. This is offset by the increase in behavior specialists who bring the services back into the district and only using a fragment of the services from outside vendors. Our instructional technology is decreased based on bringing 50% of the services back in for assistive technology. So that also came out of the pupil services that we don't have anymore. And finally, our out-of-district tuitions, which kind of blend between page 7 and page 8. We have a 0.45% increase. The fluctuations between the account lines are based on the actual placements at the time of the budget entry. So we figured out where all the out-of-districts were going to be going and we put them in the right budgets. So on page 8, you can see the overall special education budget is an increase of 2.09%, or $294,795. The next page, page 9, is a summary of our budget. So the local appropriation for the Tewksbury Public Schools is an increase of 3.75%, or $1,622,172. This includes a level funding of the $250,000 for capital outlay for district-wide instructional needs. Page 10 is an overall budget summary which kind of compares what we requested to what the town manager recommended. As you can see, they match. Our total budget is going to be $54,983,084, which includes a portion of the fixed costs that are handled by the town. Our salaries are $31,943,421, and our operating costs are $711,328. And then our capital outlay is $250,000. So our local appropriation is $44,904,749. So page 11. This is kind of a recap again of our non-funded positions within the school district, broken down by school and by priority. The first 4 lines are numbers that have already been built into the FY18 budget. Actually, I should say now the first 5 lines. The first 3 lines, it's 4 positions. There's behavior specialist, a coordinator for social emotional learning, and a BCBA or behavior specialist again. Those are the funds that we took from the contracted services for special education and moved in for the salary accounts. The grade 1 classroom teacher is at the Heathbrook School. The decision was made based on the current enrollment of the kindergarten students. So we need to have another first grade teacher. And then the ELE, the 50% ELE specialist, we were able to move funds within account based on the increased student needs. We needed to add another 50% ELE specialist. And the rest of the positions on here are unfunded. They're positions by priority right now. If the funding ever becomes available, the priorities might change based on the student needs at the time. Page 12 shows you all the positions that we were able to incorporate in the FY17 budget and moving forward. We're very grateful to receive the funding to fill these positions. The next 4 pages, 13 through 16, is broken down by location. It's our beginning attempt at a 5-year capital plan by school. So it was a collaborative effort between all district-wide administration to kind of put the needs of the schools, being grounds, being inside the buildings, and where we need everything. So where I want to kind of focus my attention is the bottom of page 16. Under the FY18 column, you will see the grand total is $1,241,564. That number will match the next page of what we are asking for in a warrant article on our May town meeting. So what I did is I took everything in that column from those 4 pages, and if you look at page 17, it's kind of a summary sheet of everything that we have, and I just want to explain what each item is. So for our warrant articles that are going to be in the May meeting, we have doing room abatement and air monitoring in room A9. And we've gotten a preliminary quote. It will cost us about $15,000. The elementary parking lot repairs, there's a couple of spots at Ewing School that we need to repair. They've been pretty bad, so we'd like to take care of that this summer. Roofing repairs on our maintenance garage, which is over by Doucette Field. If anyone can take a look at it, a lot of the shingles have fallen off, so we just kind of need to reshingle the whole thing. District-wide utility vehicles. These are to replace the Ford sedans that we have. They're older vehicles, you can't really fit anything in them. So we're looking to get 2 maintenance utility vehicles to be utilized by the maintenance staff to hold the supplies and equipment necessary to perform the job duties. We're also looking for a landscape trailer to go behind one of those vans. That's the $6,500. The refrigerated vehicle, we're looking to purchase a refrigerated vehicle to transport meals to and from schools. Right now we have an in-house employee doing it. The North Street boiler, we had put some money aside for the North Street boiler. We still have that money aside in our local appropriation, but it wasn't, once we went out to, we're going out to bid and we got preliminary quotes, and as you see by this, $161,000, we need a great deal more, and this is the North Street boiler. This is the original boiler. There are 2 in there. The other one is just as old, and we need to take care of that now. The North Street heating exchange coils. This is the coils that converts the steam to the hot water for the new areas of the North Street. So we actually have a quote for that of $13,225. The Doucette Field bleachers. We had an engineers come out and check the bleachers, and 1/3 of the bleachers down at Doucette Field is completely condemned. So we're looking to replace the home side and possibly the visitor side, try to get everything together. We have a quote. We'd like to go out for bid for that. So assuming this all goes through, then we're going to hopefully, beginning of May, go out to bid so they can hopefully do the work as soon as possible after July 1st. District-wide security, we need to replace all the broken cameras and update some secure areas within the district. And the elementary visitor security system is the same Raptor system that we have here at the Ryan and at the Wing. We're just looking to put it into the other 4 schools. So the school department met with the finance committee last Wednesday, March 15th. During the meeting, we went over the budget just as I have with you this evening. Superintendent Malone and I then proceeded to go through a list of questions and answered everything that they needed. It was a very positive meeting, and they seemed to fully support the school district's budget. The public hearing on warrant articles is scheduled for Wednesday, April 26th at 7 p.m. at the town hall. I will ask that I'm not present at the school committee meeting that night, so I can go over to that one. I believe I've done that the last couple of years. So I plan on being present there in case anybody in the community has any questions on our warrant articles. And unless the public has something to ask, that's about what I have.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Does anyone have any questions or comments on anything that Ms. Matthews just went through this evening? Mrs. Bennett.
I'll just thank you again for putting it on the capital improvement plan, or at least the draft, for the 5 year. I know it took you a lot of time to put that together, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bennett. Mr. Francis.
Thank you. And again, thanks for the great job, especially for the finance committee last week. You guys very productive with the questions and how they were all answered in a timely manner. I have one question on the sick leave buyback.
Yes.
And it went up dramatically from last year. That's because of the amount of retirees we have.
Yeah, in FY18 we have 10, as of right now, we have 10 projected retirees. It's going to be 7 teachers, 2 food service employees, and a secretary. So we needed to increase our amounts due to the contractual obligations that the teachers have in their contract and what we have to pay out compared to what we have to pay out this year.
That's what I figured. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. So I guess all I'd like to say is, again, thank you for a great budget cycle. I know that we're not completely done, and we still need to bring this to town meeting, and I know it's school and some things may change, but as always, you guys did an outstanding job prioritizing the needs of the district and our students, and we thank you for that. I think it's a great budget. I mean, we could always use more money. We would always welcome more money, as we all know, but I think that we're really doing the most with the money that we have, and I'm really appreciative of that, and those committees as well. So thank you for an excellent presentation this evening. With that being said, would someone like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
So I have a motion, I have a second on the floor to close the public hearing budget for our 2017 school year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we're closing the budget hearing at 6:52 p.m. and we'll be opening up our regularly scheduled school committee meeting at 7 p.m. Again, we encourage anyone in the public to reach out to our administration team as well as our school committee on any questions or feedback you might have regarding our 2018 school budget. Okay, we'll see everybody at 7. Thank you. The March 22, 2017 school committee meeting will be televised and recorded under the open meeting law. The public is permitted to make an audio or video recording of an open session at a public meeting. At this time, I would ask if anyone is recording tonight's meeting to please identify himself or herself.
Brendan Lewis, your Tewksbury today.
Welcome, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you.
Mark Waldman, Town Drive.
Welcome this evening. We hope you guys can take some fantastic pictures with all the great stuff that's going on tonight. At this time, I would like everyone to join us in a moment of silence. We had a staff member and leader within the Tewksbury Memorial High School, Mrs. Mary Elizabeth Stevens, who passed away recently. She taught at Tewksbury Memorial High School for 25 years, and she was the head of the English department for 10 years. She will sorely be missed, and she certainly made an impact on the students here at Tewksbury Memorial High School. So I'd ask everyone to bow with us in silence for a few moments. Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask all of our honored guests, and we know there's many here this evening, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, tonight's a wonderful evening. We have a lot of great recognition this evening. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our superintendent, Mr. Christopher Malone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As always, it's great for us to celebrate all of our students here in Tewksbury Public Schools. Certainly, we're very proud of our academic achievements and all the hard work of all of our students. And at times, some of our students excel in other areas outside the classroom. And tonight, we're here to talk about a few of those students, and specifically in athletics. And we have a group of students here this evening who have really demonstrated what it means to be a Tewksbury Memorial High School student and athlete, great members of our school community, but also represent Tewksbury on a much wider stage and at the state level. I'd like Mr. Druin to please come on up, and the first athlete that we're going to honor tonight is our 160-pound state champion in wrestling, Mr. Blake Hills. Mr. Druin, could you tell us a little bit about Mr. Hills?
Sure. Blake is our team MVP for our wrestling team. He is the 160-pound Division II state champion. He is a state placer at the All-State meet. He qualified for the New England Championships. He is an impact guy on our football team. He is an impact guy on our lacrosse team. He is a great kid. I am proud of him, and he's done a great job with our wrestling team this year, and he worked his tail off to be 160-pound state champion, and we are proud of him. So.
We have we honor these students. We have a resolution of recognition. So congratulations. Gosh, come on up front here.
Come on, Dad, come make a picture.
You guys want to do a photo?
Us ball guys, rough front.
Good. How you doing, Brian?
So Resolution of recognition, whereas Blake Hiltz, under the direction of head coach Stephen O'Keefe and assistant coach Stephen Kasperzak, is a member of the Tewksbury Memorial High School boys wrestling varsity team. And Blake has been named Tewksbury Memorial High School Most Valuable Player. And whereas Blake is the 160-pound Division II state champion and placed 5th at the All-State meet. And Blake is the New England Championship qualifier. And whereas Blake Hiltz has brought great pride, recognition, enthusiasm, and honor to himself, to his parents and family, to Tewksbury Memorial High School, and to the town of Tewksbury. Now therefore be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, recognizes the many achievements of Blake Hiltz. Congratulations. A couple of years ago. So.
You guys want to do a photo together? Say 269? All right, 3, 2, 1. Awesome.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Madam Chair, our next athlete is not in the 160-pound weight class. Sam Beatrice represents our gymnastics team and is a silver medalist at the state level in the balance beam. Again, an outstanding member of the school community. Mr. Jones, going to tell us a little bit about her.
Samantha is a well-known student athlete here at the high school. You go to any of our games and she's right up front leading the student section. When she gets on the gymnastics mat and the gymnastics beam, she's our team MVP. She's the state silver medalist on the beam. She's the first gymnast from Tewksbury High School to qualify for the New England Championships. And she was recently named to Team Massachusetts to represent Mass down in Florida at the National Championships in May. So Sam has had a heck of a winter, and hopefully it carries over to May for us. But great year by Sam Beatrice on our gymnastics team.
I don't know how you do it, Sam, walking that tight line. You did it. Whereas Sam Beatrice, under the direction of head coach Jessica Wilkie, is the member of the Tewksbury Memorial High School girls gymnastics varsity team. And whereas Samantha has been named Tewksbury Memorial High School's most valuable player, and whereas Samantha took state silver medalist in the beam and is the first Tewksbury gymnast to qualify for New England Championships. Whereas Samantha has selected to represent Massachusetts at the National Championship in Florida in May. Whereas Samantha Beatrice has brought great pride, recognition, enthusiasm, and honor to herself, to her parents and family, and to the Tewksbury Memorial High School and the town of Tewksbury. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, recognizes the many achievements of Samantha Beatrice.
And further, Madam Chair, we have a great representative from our co-op girls ice hockey team, the Red Rangers, Ms. Kelly Delaney. Kelly is the MVP of the MVCTCL. You can say that 3 times fast, but that's a great honor, good for you. And Player of the Year. So, Mr. Jones?
You said it. Kelly is our leading scorer for the Red Rangers. They were defeated last Wednesday in the state semifinals, the furthest any of our girls hockey teams has gone. They lost to the eventual state champion, Notre Dame of Hingham. Kelly scored her 100th goal this season. She's closing in on 200 points for her career. She is a team MVP. She was recently selected to the Boston Herald Dream Team, which is the 5 best hockey players in the state. So they have the Dream Team, and then they have the All-Scholastic Team. Kelly was selected to the Dream Team. Outstanding lacrosse player. I believe she is our returning leading scorer for our lacrosse team. that girls hockey team has a chance to go to the Garden next year, and she's driving the bus. So, great season by Kelly Galini.
Is that a record, 200 goals?
That's pretty close. Well, it's up there, yeah. We had a girl do that a couple years ago, got her 200th point, but I think Kelly can get more with a big season last year, so, next year, I'm sorry.
Well, we have a resolution of recognition, whereas Kelly Galini, under the direction of head coach Sarah Oteri, is a member of the Tewksbury Memorial High School Methuen girls ice hockey varsity team, and whereas Kelly has been named Tewksbury Methuen Red Rangers Most Valuable Player, and whereas Kelly has been named Merrimack Valley Conference and Dune County League Player of the Year, and whereas Kelly scored her 100th goal this season and is the leading scorer on a team that is state semifinalist, and whereas Kelly Galini has brought great pride, recognition, enthusiasm, and honor to herself, to her parents and family, to the Tewksbury Memorial High School, and to the town of Tewksbury. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, and recognizes the many achievements of Kelly Galini. Thank you.
You want Dad in the picture too?
And Madam Chair, finally we have our fastest group tonight. That is our members of our 4x400 girls All-State Champion Relay Team. Tatum Pesci, Emily Sessa, Lauren Palomino, and Rachel Sessa. Please come on up. Mr. Druin.
Well, I think we should probably take Emily and Rachel's face and just put it right on the bookcase right there, because they're up here so many times, the mouse just proud of them. These girls are tremendous student athletes here at the high school. I'll just go right down the line. Lauren is the MVC high jump champion. She is the MVC 600 champion. She is the State Track Coaches Association pentathlon champion. They are the Division 4 state champions in the 4x4 relay. They are the all-state champions in the 4x4 relay. Lauren is a key member of that team. Emily Sessa is let's see. She's the state champion in the 4x4 relay in Division 4. She is the state champion, all-state champion in the 4x4 relay. She is the MVC champion in cross country. She is a recipient of a cross country scholarship to UMass Lowell. She's just put her stamp on our track program. Tatum is a Division 4 4x4 state champion. She is an all-state 4x4 state champion. She is a top 3 placer in the 300. Yeah, she was second at Division 4. Again, she just anchors a bunch of our relay teams, and you watch her go on the track, and it's impressive. She can run. And then Rachel is Rachel's the heaviest recruited athlete at Tewksbury Memorial High School. I get more mail on Rachel than I do on almost the rest of the school combined, to be quite honest with you. She's a 4.49 student on a 4.5 GPA. When you run track, you go into those national scoring banks. So anybody can get your scores once you post them, and her scores are elite across the country. She's the member of the 4x4 relay team in Division 4 state champ. She's the all-state champion as part of the 4x4 relay team. She is the MVC champion in the 2-mile. She is the runner-up at the all-state level at the 1-mile and the 2-mile on the same day. She was the team MVP. She's got more records here in our track program, and there's going to be more to be broken. So these 4 have done a tremendous job, and our track program is on solid ground, and these 4 are the pillars that hold the building for that program. So great year by them.
Thank you. This, in my 8 years on the committee, is a first.
Okay.
4 resolutions, with 4 members of one team, so I'm going to read them, because each is a little individually different.
You
and
got
I'll
it.
make sure everybody gets recognized.
Okay.
So first, Lauren Palomino, under the direction of head coach Peter Malloy and assistant coaches Frank Cusick and John Burns, is a member of the Tewksbury Memorial High School Girls Indoor Track Varsity 4x400 All-State Champion Relay Team, and Division 4 4x400 State Championship Relay Team. Whereas Lauren is the recipient of the Merrimack Valley Conference Division 4 runner-up in the 600-meter run, the MVC champion in the 600-meter run, and the MVC champion in the high jump. And whereas Lauren received the Tewksbury Memorial High School Coaches Award and is the MSTCA State Pentathlon Champion. And whereas Lauren Palomino has brought great pride, recognition, enthusiasm, and honor to herself, to her parents, and family, to the Tewksbury Memorial High School, and to the town of Tewksbury. And now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, and recognizes the many achievements of Lauren Palomino. Next up, whereas Emily Sessa, under the direction of head coach Peter Malloy and assistant coaches Frank Cusick and John Burns, is a member of the Tewksbury Memorial High School Girls Indoor Track Varsity 4x400 All-State Champion Relay Team and Division 4x400 State Champion Relay Team. Whereas Emily is the recipient of the Merrimack Valley Conference Division 4 runner-up in the 1,000-meter run and the MVC champion in the 1,000-meter run. Whereas Emily received a scholarship to run at the University of Massachusetts Lowell. And whereas Emily Sessa has brought great pride, recognition, enthusiasm, and honor to herself, to her parents and family, to Tewksbury Memorial High School, and to the town of Tewksbury. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, and recognizes the many achievements of Emily Sessa. Whereas Tatum Pecci, under the direction of head coach Peter Malloy and assistant coaches Frank Cusick and John Burns, is a member of the Tewksbury Memorial High School Girls Indoor Track Varsity 4x400 All-State Relay Team. Tatum is a member of the Division 4x400 State Relay Team. Whereas Tatum is the recipient of the Merrimack Valley Conference Division 4 runner-up in the 300-meter. And whereas Tatum Pecci has brought great pride, recognition, enthusiasm, and honor to herself, to her parents and family, to Tewksbury Memorial High School, and to the town of Tewksbury. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, and recognizes the many achievements of Tatum Pecci. Whereas Rachel Sessa, under the direction of head coach Peter Malloy and assistant coaches Frank Cusick and John Burns, is a member of the Tewksbury Memorial High School Girls Indoor Track Varsity 4x400 All-State Championship Relay Team. Whereas Rachel has been named the Tewksbury Memorial High School Most Valuable Player and was named the Division 4 1-mile state champion. And whereas Rachel is the runner-up in the Division 4 2-mile run and the runner-up in the 1-mile run and the 2-mile at the All-State meet. Whereas Rachel Sessa has brought great pride, recognition, enthusiasm, and honor to herself, to her parents and family, to Tewksbury Memorial High School, and to the town of Tewksbury. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, and recognizes the many achievements of Rachel Sessa.
Mr. Malone, I reluctantly forgot. Lauren Palomino was selected to the Boston Herald All-Scholastic team as their pentathlete, and then the 4x4 relay also made the Boston Herald All-Scholastic team for the 4x4 relay. So I know you're a Globe guy, but you have to pick up the Herald every now and then.
Brendan, can you guys just slide that way a bit for me, please? Let's take 3 steps.
This is for
Dennis, drag them that way, please.
3 steps that way, I guess.
Thank you.
You good?
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready?
go. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Mr. Malone, before I leave, I just want to take the time, I know it's Brian's last night, and I want to personally thank you for all you've done for me as a coach, as an administrator, for our athletes, for our facilities. It goes without saying that it's a huge set of shoes to fill, and I can't thank you enough for all you've done for me and all our athletes and everything you've done for the community. So thank you, you've been great, Brian. I really appreciate it.
Madam Chair, next up I'd like to have Mr. Pelletier join up front. And as being new to the district, one of the first things I heard about Tewksbury was this mysterious Camp Kahila. And I didn't know what it was. And it was explained to me, and the history of it, and the passion behind all those who were involved with it, and all those who speak of it in such high regard. Certainly generated a lot of curiosity for myself, and I think we're very proud to be here tonight with Mr. Pelletier to talk a little bit about the dedication of the Special Education Handbook and kind of the connections Camp Kahila. Mr. Pelletier.
Thank you. So we're really fortunate to have with us tonight Ms. Jean Walsh and the Brown family, and I think the Harris family may be represented here tonight as well. Over some meetings with Ms. Walsh this summer and through part of the school year, and talking about the history of Camp Ohilo, how that came about, and the meaning of Camp Ohilo is potential through help and love. They really created a social and recreational opportunities for students in Tewksbury that has prevailed for over 40 years in this community. I know that Ms. Walsh would like to say a few words, but as part of the history that we've captured, it's part of our student handbook, and within that is just brief history that we worked on together. And this will be memorialized moving forward to capture the essence of what they created some 40 plus years ago for the students, right? It's 45 plus, right? Yeah. And although Camp Ohilo is in essence part of our community still, we've expanded a lot of the social and recreational opportunities to include transition programming and other opportunities for students right through adulthood. And we had a great conversation over the summer about that, and I hope to be able to tour her this summer for our programs. So I'd love the family to come up and be presented with a copy of the handbook and say a few words.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. Dennis is there too. Just want to thank Rick and everybody for acknowledging our establishment and all our efforts starting Camp Ohilo, and for the 45 years of community service to our developmental disability clients and their families. As one of the founders, I acknowledge the time commitment of our first director of Camp Ohilo, Mary Lou Morris. I cherish her friendship and memories of those years. I am very honored by this recognition for camp and others. Mary Brown's son, Jimmy, is he here? No? Jimmy Brown and Paul Morris.
The Morris.
Because of your mother, and I know you participated helping out at the camp for the years, and the overnights they did. Yeah, again, many thanks. Just this past month, a year ago.
A year ago today, a year ago yesterday.
Yesterday. Wow, timing is everything.
Had she been here, she would have been very humbled by the proceedings tonight, and she would have been most honored by the fact that this has survived for 45 years.
Yes, I'm home.
Mrs. Walsh really wanted to capture that moment for your mom, and that's essentially why we got together, and she really wanted to make it a tribute as well.
She'd be honored.
You're going to get one of these ones. She's right on front. We're all getting one.
So I would just like to say, I'm going to speak on behalf of the Morris family. They actually wrote something up, and I know Paul's a little bit shy, and his wife Diane is here, as well as their son is here this evening. But his brother, Peter, was kind enough to send me an email just to say a few words on behalf of his mom. And if anyone know her well, it was certainly you, Mrs. Walsh, and the two of you did amazing things together. So I just want to take a moment to just read what Mr. Peter Morris sent in. So he wrote, Mary Lou Morris, founder of Camp O'Havel, for a number of reasons, but the primary one among them was her love. It was her love for children, her love for the community, and her love for the town of Tewksbury. She loved everyone, but she reserved a special place in her heart for those with special needs. She founded Camp O'Havel, short for Potential, Help, and Love, based on the idea that everybody had potential, needs a little help, and deserves a lot of love. She was a true pioneer. She created Camp O'Havel out of sheer force of will. This was long before mainstreaming or any modern services that are available to most of the vulnerable in our society today. She created something larger than herself that had grown and lived on past her all too short time with us. She will be remembered not only for the joy she brought to everyone she met, but for the enduring legacy of Camp O'Havel. She will be remembered by all the camp staff and volunteers, and more importantly, by the special needs children and their families who lived and were enriched by Mary Lou's potential, help, and love. She is remembered and thanked by the school committee and the entire Tewksbury community for her service and dedication. And I have to say, it was such a pleasure working with Mr. Pelletier, the school committee, and Mrs. Walsh in talking about your mom and getting to really know the person that she was, because not everyone had that opportunity to have that special relationship. And the amazing things that she did, not only in this, but for Tewksbury. So for those who don't know, she was the Woman of the Year in the 1970s. So that's a big deal. Think about the 1970s. How many women were really recognized and put on a pedestal? And she certainly was, and isn't that a wonderful memory to have? And she also created the program Adopt a Grandparent, which I think that's something we should do here at the high school. I think that's a wonderful thing. There's so many people in need of spending time with someone, so that may be something that maybe one of your sons here at the high school could take a lead on that and kind of resurrect a program that his grandmother did, which I think would be a wonderful thing here at the high school. And then I also wanted to say all the wonderful things that we're doing and Mr. Pelletier is doing to provide even more services than what was initially started for these individuals. Also, Mr. Aylwood's in the audience tonight, and Mrs. Dick, who also are heading up the Best Buddies program that we talked extensively about this summer to you, which again is another wonderful opportunity of really reaching out and doing outreach and really helping all children. And I'm really proud of that initiative, and I'd like to thank Mr. Aylwood and Mrs. Dick for taking that here in the high school as well. So, and Mr. Dick now is going to have
I'm still thinking about the 1970s.
You had hair.
I just choose to cut it short. Well, nice to see you. And this is just the last resolution of recognition, so thanks for being here. Whereas Mary Brown, Mary Morris, and Jean Walsh recognize the needs of children and physical and learning disabilities in the town of Tewksbury and founded Camp O'Havel in the 1970s. And Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Morris, and Mrs. Walsh exhibited professionalism, leadership, enthusiasm, and confidence, leading the community in creating recreational and social opportunities for children. And whereas Camp O'Havel has been a fixture in Tewksbury, serving families for over 45 years. And the Tewksbury Public Schools Student Services Department dedicates the Special Education Student Handbook to the founders of Camp O'Havel, Mary Brown, Mary Morris, and Jean Walsh. And whereas the founders of Camp O'Havel have brought great pride, recognition, and honor to themselves, to children, to your families, and to the town of Tewksbury, therefore be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, and recognizes the many efforts of all you three young ladies.
And this week, Diane Morris, if you would, on behalf of... Thank you so much.
Diana, is there anything you would like to, I know I had a conversation with you, but is there anything you would love to say?
I just know this is one of her biggest, proudest achievements, and it would mean so much to her. And it means a lot happening on our 1-year anniversary of her passing. So I want to really thank you for everything you did doing this dedication.
I'd also like to add that she served as the first director for 20 years, which was it's a big deal. And it was just a real pleasure to learn all this information and history.
Thank you so much for making a difference. We really appreciate it.
And Madam Chair, the last recognition,
Okay, great. It's so wonderful to look out and see all the people here in support of Brian Dick. He's definitely one of a kind and somebody who has certainly impacted this community, and I'm proud to call him my friend. So I'm going to take a few minutes to read something that I wrote up, and then each one of my colleagues is going to have an opportunity to say a few nice words about this. We thought about that. We didn't talk about that. But. So I'd like to start with saying, Brian, on behalf of the members of the school committee and the Tewksbury community, we want to express our sincere appreciation for your commitment, dedication, and service to the Tewksbury School Committee these past 6 years. It has indeed been a great pleasure working with you. Through the years, you have demonstrated that students come first and education is a top priority in this community. Many tough decisions need to be made, and you were always willing to stand up for the needs and the goals of our staff and our students, something to be so proud of. We could not have accomplished all that we did without your leadership and vision on this committee. Before you leave, we wanted to acknowledge some of the major accomplishments that were made during your tenure as a Tewksbury School Committee member. As a team, we opened a new Tewksbury Memorial High School. We negotiated 2 successful rounds of contracts, first in 2012 and then again in 2015. We worked hard with everyone to give back that 5% to all the staff that so much deserve that. And that was difficult, and we all stayed tough, and Brian, you were a leader, and I certainly appreciate that. That was a difficult time for us, and you showed your true leadership skills there. We've established a full-day kindergarten program. We've improved the chain of communication in our district, facilitating dialogue and collaboration between administrations, teachers, staff, students, parents, and members, and even across the board for committees here in Tewksbury. We've reduced classroom sizes and maintained them throughout the years. We've worked hard through this past 5 years with the Massachusetts School Building Authority in order to establish a new elementary school, which we're currently working on right now. We'll have certainly a stamp, your name will be on that, for all the years it took us to get into that queue and now to be part of that process, and hopefully we're going to open those doors soon. And we can't wait for you to come and enjoy that with everybody here. You've promoted the hiring of new staff, encouraging greatness in all our employees. You've expanded course offerings throughout our district, brought foreign language back at the Wynn School, increased AP offerings here at the high school, started dual enrollment, and always encouraged us to do more for all of our students here in the district. You've been a true advocate for the band program. And I have to say, we can all admit, Ryan has been the true advocate for the band. You pushed and pushed until we made sure our band was all set, and we had those opportunities for all those kids that love music. And you're solely responsible for that. You didn't let us take the easy way out, and you pushed and pushed to make sure that we supported those students, and I'm proud of you for that. You've expanded the use of technology throughout our district, such as utilizing smart boards in every classroom, implementing Aspen and a new parent portal that everybody was asking for, upgrading many hardware devices, and leveraging Google Apps for education. You've increased special education services, something that was difficult to do in trying times with financial constraints. You improved the co-teaching model, the implementation of the full-time case managers, the increase in support for special education, including counselors and social workers and even human resources personnel. You made it your mission to enhance our custodial and building maintenance initiatives and make sure our buildings are now being maintained, something that we were criticized for many years before you came on board. That's a great initiative and something you should be so proud of. We hired key personnel throughout the years, especially as a school committee. Sometimes it's difficult to hire these people. We hired a new business manager, Ms. Sherry Matthews. We hired our new Tewksbury Memorial High School principal, Mrs. Kristen Vogel. We hired our new assistant superintendent, Mrs. Brenda Regan. And most recently, we just hired our new superintendent, Mr. Kristen Malone. Those are great leaders in our district and will make a great difference here in Tewksbury. And because of you, we brought in the right people to get the job done the right way. We now have capital improvement plans, something that we never had in the past. We now have 3-tiered systems of what we need, our 1, 2, and 3 needs, and when money becomes available, we're not scuffling around. We're saying this is exactly what we need, and this is our 1-year, 3-year, 5-year, 7-year plan. That took a long time. There was a lot of pushback, but you held steady, and we worked with administration, and it came true. And that's something to be proud of, and for future school committee members to go in that direction will make us successful. On a personal note, please know that your friendship has and always will mean a great deal to me. You will be greatly missed. We want to express our sincere gratitude for all you have done. As you know, we have strived to create the best Tewksbury Public Schools district for our students, parents, staff, and community. I can honestly tell you, Brian, there's one person that will have tears tonight, and that certainly will be me. It has been an absolute pleasure working with you. You are an ultimate professional. You're an ultimate leader. You are someone that I would stand side by side any day of the week, any hour of the day, and someone that I'm proud to call my friend. Thank you for everything you've done for this community and for the Tewksbury Public Schools. All right, I'm going to turn this over to my colleagues now. I know everybody has a lot to say.
Everybody's getting a hug too.
So we're going to start with Mr. Cutlass first.
Thank you.
You want the hug first? I'll wait till you say something.
I just have a few words. I have to echo everything Mr. Palomino said. I think it was spot on. But I also want to say that it's been a privilege and a pleasure to work with you on the school committee. You've always handled yourself in a professional and intelligent manner and treated everybody that came before you with respect and consideration. I always value your perspective, your viewpoint, your position on all the issues, and everything that came before us. And I know that every action you've taken, as Mrs. Palomino said, and every vote you've made, everything you've done is always done with the best interest of the town in mind and the students in mind. And nothing could be more important for a school committee person. And I know that in the future you'll always be involved, and I hope I can always call you for advice and counsel when I need it. All right, thank you.
Mr. Francis.
Thank you. Normally, as people know, usually I write things down before I speak because it's a lot easier to have things written down. But in this case tonight, I didn't write anything down because I didn't have the need to write anything down. As our chairman stated, all the great accomplishments that Brian's had. But more importantly to me, when I first met with Brian on the committee, it was 6 years ago, we talked a little bit about what it was like to be on the committee. And I remember Brian saying to me that, sometimes you're going to have to make tough decisions. And that's the thing that I am more impressed with anything that Brian's done in the 6 years. Brian has always made the tough decisions. Sometimes it's easy to make the easy decisions, but that's not what we're elected to do. We're elected to make the tough decisions. And Brian always looked at all the students in the town. No matter who you were, every student was just as important as the next student. And I think that sometimes that gets forgotten. And I know that Brian was tremendous, and as Jamie just mentioned, treated everybody with respect. But one of the things that I remember Brian more than anything else is, especially when he was chairman, it was a tough year for the committee. But Brian handled it professionally, and we came through with flying colors. And I said I started knowing Brian as just a committee man, but I consider Brian now a friend for life. And anything that I can do in the future for Brian is more than I could ever hope for. And I know that Brian will still be involved with the community, with the students, with everybody else in the town of Tewksbury. Tewksbury should be proud to have somebody like Brian who was on this committee for 6 years. It's not an easy job, and Brian handled it professionally, with dignity, and always looked out for number one, the students in this community. And that's what I remember more than anything. When I think of Brian again, I would think that the students of this community always came first. And he's going to be surely missed, but he will be my friend for life.
Mrs. Bennett?
So I actually have to write something down because I know I start getting choked up. I know I've only had the pleasure of working with Brian for for only 1 year on the committee. However, you and I, Brian, go way back. You've always taken my calls for the last 6 years on school matters, and you are such a dedicated, kind, and passionate guy. You have always made decisions for our students and our schools and put their needs first. You will be missed, but my hope is that you continue to stay involved in our schools and let us know when we're deviating off the positive course you have helped achieve in your 6 years on school committee. Basically, what I'm telling you, Brian, is you're allowed to call me and give me feedback anytime, of course, as I have done for you. You are a true friend, and I sincerely wish you the best. I'm sure Michelle and the kids will enjoy having you back on Wednesday nights, but you will be missed here. Thank you.
Here's the keys to the Holly.
Can I do a picture of all you guys? Would that be okay?
No Holly. I was almost told some of those nifty flowers. My family history in the florist business.
We would like Brian's family to come up, so Christina and Michelle, and anyone else who wants to come too. Kevin. We don't have flowers for you, Kevin.
Hats are important. Yep, get the Redmond right there. Go Redmond.
Before we're going to let Brian speak, one thing I'd like to say is that everybody always says, you know, it's such a great thing to be on these elected boards and stuff. But right here, this families make sacrifices when people run for office. I remember through the years, Brian sitting up here when it's one of his children's birthdays, or we're doing something away when it's a family gathering and so forth. So I would like to say to Brian's family, thank you for all the sacrifices you have made to give Brian to us, because he has done an outstanding job in the past 6 years, and we know that you're really looking forward to getting a lot of Brian back. So we're going to miss him, but we're glad that he's going back to his family, because Brian, if there's one true family guy, Brian Dick's your guy.
Hoping someone's taking notes for my old bit. Well, this is very humbling. I never expected this. You know, seeing some friends and family. Unbelievable. Oh, man. So, you know, Chrissy read a lot of things in that, on all those accomplishments, and it's definitely a we in there. You know, there's no way I could have did that all by myself. So I thank the committee for being there, the past committee members, John O'Connor, and the administration, especially the kids. Tewksbury, what a great school system. I thank my wife, Michelle. I'm definitely married up. I think everybody sees that. It's on tape now. So Kevin coming up, he's got football at 6:30 in the morning. So and Christina, my daughter Kirsten, Christina's doing such great things. And my daughter Kirsten's down at Framingham State doing awesome stuff. So I know she'd be here if she could. But I just want to say thank you so much. And you know, having family and friends, that's what it's all about, right? When you, at the end of the day, so to see a lot of familiar and happy faces, feel like you did a little bit something for the town. I really, truly appreciate it. I can't believe that you guys would come out and say all those things about me. So I'll try to play a little golf this year, and but I'm still going to be around. And I just want to say thank you. And on with the meeting. You guys
can we have the rest of the committee up here for the next picture? Everybody up. Come on up. Whoever you want up for the picture or newspaper letter. Get your whole family in there.
What people don't know is I stood in for 6 meetings. I have no idea. So half that stuff was because of me. Get the
Just get it as tight as you can. Squeeze in.
Handles. Everyone say handles.
guys get the whole group here. Looking happy. 3, 2, 1. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
I would like one,
Brian, will you take one with the committee?
Yeah, you. With the golf clubs, you know.
Okay, here we go, Brian, come on over here behind the symbol.
All right.
Watch out for the glare on his head. There's also one more thing I'd like to say, and I wish Pete Sullivan the best of luck. He's going to fill that seat in a couple of weeks, so I wish you all the best. I know you're going to do a great job. So I appreciate it.
Hey, Brian, those are only props.
Come on, I'll let them choose. They can have it ready, it's all right. So we actually got, just so everyone knows, we got Brian actually 2 golf bags. One was filled up with all kinds of goodies. The other one's in the back of my car that I'm going to give you after the meeting. One's red, one's blue. They both took spray. They got the Redmond logo on it. I think it's something you're going to love and cherish. And thank you to Mr. Jerome for kind of helping us out and getting us to the right rep. So special thanks to Mr. Jerome for helping make that happen. It was our pleasure. All of us pitched in together, administration, school committee, and give you a nice send-off.
Yeah, incredible.
Or maybe since Barry filled out in some of the meetings, he can have the other golf bag.
I was already
You guys have to fight about who gets blue and who gets red.
So you know, my family can go home.
So what I was going to say at this time, it's, this is a special meeting because it is Brian's last meeting. What I would like to propose to the committee and ask someone to make a motion, I'd like to take a 5-minute recess. I'd like Brian to be able to thank those people that came, and we'll just do a little quick recess. I'm sure everyone in the audience doesn't want to continue to watch us go throughout the night. You're certainly welcome to, but I'd like Brian the opportunity to thank those people that came this evening. So would someone
I'll make that motion for a 5-minute recess.
So I have a motion, I have a second on the floor for a 5-minute recess. All those in favor? Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. 5-minute recess it is. I would like to welcome everyone back to the March 22nd, 2017 school committee meeting. The time now is 7:58 p.m. Thank you for bearing with us tonight for that brief recess. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our student representative, Ms. Kelsey Dunn, to present the Tewksbury Memorial High School report.
Alrighty, so the Decker Club, which was based upon the business growth, went to the state competition for March 10th to the 12th in Boston. They stayed at the Copley Marriott. Everyone loved it. And we have 8 delegates now qualified to go to the national competition in Anaheim, California this upcoming April. And we had 15 total top 10 finishers in the state competition. For student council, the student council send their delegates to the MAC Spring Conference in Hyannis from March 7th to the 9th. And we hope they had a great time building better leaders, and they are now hosting the Northeastern Massachusetts Association of Student Councils Spring Conference here in the building on April 11th. The Students Against Destructive Decisions are now preparing for the mock car crash to get ready for the Awareness Week, prior to the prom season. Best Buddies prom was on March 4th, and the club had so much fun. And they're looking forward to their circus trip this spring over April vacation, and there will also be a trip to Beauty and the Beast at the Woburn Showcase Cinema. The National Honor Society induction ceremony was last week, and as well as their newest executive board were elected co-presidents Felicia Rapucci and Catherine Butler, Vice President Maeve Moynihan, Secretary Caitlin Panisetti, and Treasurer Stephanie Tam.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. We always appreciate your thorough reports of all our happenings at Tewksbury High School. Thank you. We have no presentations this evening, so this time, during Citizens Forum, is there anyone that would like to speak this evening for Citizens Forum? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak this evening? Okay, seeing nobody this evening, I'm going to move right over to our clerk, Mrs. Bennett, to present our meeting minutes.
Thank you, Mrs. Sonia. I'd like to move and approve the March 8, 2017 regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
So I have a motion, I have a second on the floor to approve the March 8, 2017 regular meeting minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well, that's unanimous vote.
I'd also like to move and approve the executive session meeting minutes from October 5th, 2016, October 19th, 2016, November 30th, 2016, January 11th, 2017, January 25th, 2017, and February 15th, 2017.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second on the floor to approve the executive session meeting minutes for October 5th, 2016, October 19th, 2016, November 30th, 2016, January 11th, 2017, January 25th, 2017, and February 15th, 2017. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well, unanimous vote. Thank you, Mrs. Bennett. I will now ask our clerk, Mrs. Bennett, to present our payroll.
I'd like to move the school department's payroll for the period ending March 9th, 2017 to be approved and certified, and the amounts and categories as shown for a total amount of $1,293,272.74.
I'll second.
So I have a motion, I have a second on the floor to approve the payroll period ending March 9th, 2017. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Mrs. Bennett.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to turn it over to our superintendent, Mr. Malone, for our superintendent and staff reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to bring the attention of the committee and certainly the public some of the recent events going on nationally, particularly with the proposed budget of President Trump and the effect that it may have on education. Currently, there is a proposal for cutting U.S. Education Department funding by $9 million for 13%. So this is certainly something that we want to keep an eye on and certainly communicate with our local legislators to make sure our voice is heard. Within this funding, it's also a $1.4 billion increase in school choice and privatization. So again, some pieces we definitely want to keep an eye on. One of the most significant pieces that would be eliminated would be the Every Student Succeeds Act Title II. And this has to do with our professional development money. So this is certainly a budget area that we really rely on coming from the federal government. And there is a lot of concern about this, both in the state of Massachusetts and throughout the country. But it bodes us to keep a close eye on this and where this budget process ends up, and certainly make sure that we're informed and keeping our local legislators informed. Also, I'd like to notify the committee that this past Friday, I attended the NEMLIC STARS conference regarding school security. I was joined by high school principal Vogel, by assistant principal in Long from the Wynn Middle School, and from our two school resource officers, Officer Rising and Officer Pratt. Terrific opportunity to see what the latest developments are in school security. By attending the conference, we were able to secure early release of the NEMLIC STARS Toolkit, which is a revised edition of Preparedness for Schools and Security. Good to know elements, good pieces. We've worked a lot with NEMLIC in the past. They've been a great resource for us, so we certainly want to keep that relationship going. And we also were able to see a most recent briefing on school violence from the United States Secret Service. And also here a rather moving presentation from a parent of a child that was killed at the San Diego tragedy in Connecticut. So again, we want to make sure all of our students are safe, that we as administrators and as district leadership are most up to date in our security preparedness, and we'll continue on that effort within the district. Also a reminder that the senior bulletin is now out through the high school, which is a great element that gives students step-by-step and dates around graduation activities, end of the year activities. Great reference for students. It gets very busy towards the end of this school year, so we want to make sure we're communicating out the appropriate events and when, where, and how. And also remind the committee that the Social Emotional Learning Fair will be happening Wednesday, March 29th here at the high school. Great opportunity partnering with Wilmington Public Schools to look at social and emotional learning and what assets are available both in the community and in the schools to support all of our students. Remind the committee that we are looking at all of our current staff members who have put in for retirement and beginning the advertisement process to replace those positions for next year. So we may see a lot of advertised positions out there sooner than later, but that is directly a result of those staff members who have decided to either change their career, move on to another district, or retire. And just a couple of quick reminders. Taste the Town will happen on Wednesday, April 5th at Tewksbury Country Club, 6 to 9 p.m., sponsored by the Rotary Club. And the Mother and Son Brunch will happen on Saturday, April 29th, 10 to 11:30 a.m., also at Tewksbury Country Club. Tickets are on sale beginning on April 1st at our community service offices or online at the Community Pass. With that, I'll pass it over to Assistant Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I think Mr. Francis had a quick comment.
Yeah, I think that's a very important night for this school community, and I think maybe in the future maybe we can work together with our partners to try to arrange something so it's not conflicting.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. Mrs. Regan?
Thank you. The first update we have for you is one of an informational nature, and that is the 2017-18 register periods. Part of the process of planning for the next school year is first build the school calendar. You've approved the school calendar for the 17-18 school year. Once we have that calendar in place, we then divvy up the 180 instructional, 184 instructional days for teachers, and we fit them into the 4 quarters. Sounds like it should be fairly easy, right? But we have to look at where do vacations fall, where do testing periods fall, statewide testing periods, and then what we do is try to predict where we might have backup days like snow days. So what you have in front of you is our final draft of the 17-18 register period. I'd like to draw your attention though to the midpoint of each of the terms. One of our goals in using Aspen for parents was to try to go paperless in our reporting, to have real-time, day-to-day progress updates for parents online through Aspen. Next school year, we will be posting the progress reports online. So they'll be in a PDF form online for every parent to view throughout the year. We will not be sending paper progress reports home other than for parents and families who might need them. So I wanted to show you that we're adjusting to our goals around using Aspen more effectively in the district. Our goal after the 17-18 year will be to try to do the same thing with report cards until the end of the year, the final report card and final trimester. So informational, but to show you the progression as we move forward with the calendar. We've now memorialized report card and progress report dates. The second item I have the update, and you have it in front of you, is the Tewksbury High School Youth Job Fair. I think I have to start with really singing the praises for Ms. Karen Baker O'Brien. Knowing Karen, you know that she works tirelessly to bring activities to our students, constantly to focus on the best educational plan here at the high school and the postgraduate plan when they leave. Karen, some few years ago, sitting at her own doctor's appointment, struck up a conversation with the woman sitting next to her. Lowell, the woman sitting next to her, is the director of the Greater Lowell Workforce Development team, Beatrice Seattle. Well, Karen, in her constant efforts, decides that this would be a good time to talk about how we can better serve the needs of our students, and the brainchild of a job fair was created. So today, at the end of the school day, about a dozen local, either small or larger chain businesses came, and our students had an opportunity to go table to table and get some information on summer jobs, part-time jobs, or even entry-level career jobs, ways in which that they might be involved in furthering their careers or employment after college. One in particular, local general hospital was here, and when she heard about our CNA program, Certified Nurses Assistance Program, she said, I want to come back. I want to go to that class, and I want to tell every single one of your students in that program that as soon as they get that certification, they have a job with us. So what really has blossomed is these businesses helping our students, not only with a part-time job after school or during the summer, but Beatrice will be coming back helping our students with interview skills, resume writing for jobs and careers, even post-college. So this collaboration and partnership Karen has formed, sitting at one of her own doctor's appointments, has now turned into a really wonderful annual event for our students. So we really need to thank Karen O'Brien for all that she brings on a regular basis to help our students plan for their future. Good time to take.
I don't really have anything tonight, just to remind the community that May 1st is our town meeting, so make sure you come out and support the group.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. Yes, Mrs. Bennett.
Just a quick follow-up on the register period. Is that going to be online somewhere on the website, or are we
Yes.
putting this in the district calendar?
What happens with the register periods too, we program these dates within Aspen. So those are the upcoming dates that you see Aspen report. It comes from this register. Yes. And then what we do is post, of course, the reporting times, progress reports, as well as report cards. So that's what it's posted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bennett. Moving right along to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to take anything off the consent agenda this evening? Could someone make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept tonight's consent agenda.
I'll second.
So I have a motion, I have a second on the floor to accept tonight's consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Moving right along to committee reports. So I guess, Mr. Malone, I'll start with you on the elementary school building committee.
Madam Chair, I'll defer to
Okay.
Mr. Francis.
Thank you. After a few weeks of, I like to call rest period for the elementary school building committee, we are now into what I call a hectic schedule. We have a meeting scheduled tomorrow night to start our preliminary discussions on hiring an owner project manager. So over the next 6 to 8 weeks, it's going to be very hectic, sending out and posting online to see how many firms respond back with their applications. Once that process is done and it's narrowed down, then we will do interviews. Once we get through that process, we will go before the MSBA and hopefully have an OPM in place. So it's going to be very hectic, a lot of work for the committee over the next 6 to 8 weeks, and we'll discuss that tomorrow night at our meeting. But we still are meeting all the timelines that we're supposed to meet, and it's hectic, but it's very exciting as we really enter into a very important phase. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Francis. Okay, moving right along, Mrs. Bennett, Tewksbury Education Foundation.
The foundation is meeting on next Tuesday at 6:30 at the high school. That's it for that committee report.
Okay, thank you. Wellness?
On the wellness committee, there's quite a few events going on in the next couple of months. Let me quickly run through them, but there'll be more information coming out on each one of these hopefully soon. March 29th, as Mr. Malone alluded to, the social emotional learning fair is happening here at the high school from 5 to 7. On April 12th, Tewksbury Care is having an open house, which is being scheduled at the town hall. April 29th, there's a drug take-back from 10 to 2 p.m. at the police station. On May 7th, there's a car seat checkpoint at Stadium Plaza. On May 11th, the Lions Club is working with various organizations to hold an info session at the town hall. On June 4th, the bike rodeo is happening again at the high school in the morning. The next meeting for the Wellness Committee is on May 15th at 3:30 at the high school. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bennett. The only question I have is on that May 11th meeting, the Lions Club info session. What is the info session about?
Right now, they're calling it an opiates night.
Okay.
But I think they're going to start trying to make it more generic, and they'll have more organizations joining them.
Okay.
So that's still to be determined, and hopefully they'll come out with a flyer with all the information on that.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Bennett.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along, there are no policies this evening. Again, we're working on some behind the scenes, there's some editing and some other things going on. We'll bring some forward when they're ready. Going right into old business, item number 1, MSAB Statement of Interest timeline.
Madam Chair, just as a reminder for those of us who are on the building committee, we can sometimes get immersed into timelines and schedules, but it's always good to message out to the community, where we're at in this process. And it's sent a letter out to parents and staff this week, just reminding them that we are in the feasibility phase of this building project. And although we don't have defined dates and timelines that go along with that, we want to make sure we're messaging out what the process looks like. And we'll be hopefully moving from feasibility into schematic design. That will be our next stage. So we wanted to do a quick visual to the community to let them know where we're at in that process and kind of where they can see the stages hit as we go forward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moore. I know I, for one, have one question. So for those of you who know, we have an election coming up, in less than 2 weeks. And so I'm getting many questions on the ballot questions, which are not school-related. The town are bringing forth the 3 ballot questions. However, the question continues to come up is, yes, we need support for the schools, but what is the time frame for the vote for the school? Right now, I'm constantly saying, really, we're looking close to around that 18-month mark. It could be a little less, a little bit more, but we would be bringing a vote within that time frame. So I guess I just want to give a shout out to say to the community that we are still working on our elementary school building project. It is near and dear to our hearts. This is something we need to move forward with. We will be asking for your support, and that'll be something that we'll be asking for a vote within that 18 to 24 month. So please keep that in mind, and obviously the ballot questions, everyone can do what they want come election day, but we do still are asking people for their support, and it will affect their taxes when we're asking for support to support our elementary school building project. Mr. Francis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that's a good point. I think as we move in the process, we'll be able to narrow that time frame down. But right now, it's like you said, it's kind of tough where we're at. But once we get through feasibility and schematic design, we'll have a much better idea of what we're looking at in time frame. But we'll definitely keep the community updated as we go forward.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Francis. I know that's the number one question in people's mind. Is it 5 years out? Is it 4 years out? And I'm saying, no, it's really not. It's 18 months, 24 months. So keep that in mind, when you're looking at the big picture, because we certainly need support. And we've always been very fortunate to have the support of this community. And education has always been a priority in Tewksbury, and we hope that that will continue with the support of this new building project. So thank you for that information. Okay, moving right along, Next Generation MCAS.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This week in our schools, we are starting our infrastructure trial test of the Next Generation online MCAS test. So what does that mean? As you know, we've deployed several netbooks, devices to our schools so students can integrate them in day-to-day instruction. We've been training our teachers and training our students on how to do that. Well, when we get to the online test, there's a term that's used called proctor caching. What happens is the students go onto their device. They don't go out online. What they do is the test is proctor cached and put onto our school servers. So all of the students need to practice that simulated testing environment. How do they log into that server at the school, and then the test is then displayed for them and they practice. And we needed to see, would that work? So yesterday at the Wynn School and today at the Ryan School, we practiced the first of our proctor cache practice tests. That is what we call the infrastructure trial. Things went very well. Little details were teased out, little technology details as well as just instructional details. Our principals are working hard, identifying every step along the way a teacher would follow so that they can help the students do this. And we learned a lot of good information today, how to actually hone in on those details we need to improve on. Little tips like what Wi-Fi, SSID, the students needed to be on. They needed to be on our IT services Wi-Fi, not on student or staff. We learned we're going to shut those Wi-Fi SSIDs down on that day, so it automatically goes. So we're learning along the way. I bring that to your attention because we have a letter that is drafted that'll go home by the end of the week to parents and families as to where we're at in the process. We feel very confident that our first go of online testing, grades 4 through 8, will run smoothly, and we'll continue to practice along the way, just to make sure.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Thank you, Mrs. Regan. Next up is the chain of communication.
Again, part of that whole process and planning for the next year is the school calendar. It's a 4-page document. On the 3rd and 4th page is always the chain of communication. Whom do I call with a question or suggestion? This is a great resource that was developed for parents and community members some years back. The school committee and our former superintendent, Dr. O'Connor, put this together. On the back page are the contacts at the district level and at the school level. So we noticed this year we had to add in the new position of our Assistant Director of Special Ed of Student Services. And through some edits, and thank you to the committee for looking these documents over very carefully, we also saw that there was a lack of congruency with some titles. So for example, Mr. Libby, who is listed in the transportation section of the chain of communication, was listed as the Director of Transportation. However, in contacts, he was listed as Finance and Operations Manager. So we rectified those titles, as well as made sure to list the new position of Ms. Alexis Bosworth under Assistant Director of Student Services. So for parents and community members, this chain of communication is very valuable. We encourage all parents and members of the community with questions or suggestions to follow the chain of communication, because generally the chain of communication is going to get you the best answer in any given situation.
Thank you, Mrs. Regan. Okay, moving right on to Mr. Malone, number 1, Day on the Hill.
Yes, Madam Chair. Day on the Hill will be Tuesday, April 25th, from 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. The location will not be at the State House. The location will be at the Grand Lodge of Masons in Boston. But this is a significant opportunity for school district leaderships to meet with their local legislators, coordinate on issues of interest, talk about some of the issues certainly that we're dealing with locally, and making sure our legislators are aware of that. I can certainly tell you that that's has a significant impact here in the town of Tewksbury, our relationship with our legislators, and we find them very supportive of all of our efforts, so we want to make sure that that continues. But also there is a great opportunity at the state level for all of us to influence legislation that affects our young people, our students, and education. So we certainly want to make sure that we take advantage of all those opportunities.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Malone. So I'd like to just ask this evening, since we had our packet, does anyone know off the top of the head if they are able to attend the Day on the Hill, which is April 25th? We just want to make sure we get a head count and we carpool because it is going into Boston. Mr. Sullivan, you're in the audience this evening. You will be the newest member of the school committee, so if you check your calendar as well, let me know. We'll just make sure we get a head count, and then we'll see from administration who's going. And then my other quick question was, every year we go, and I think all us members say this, is there any opportunities to bring in any high school students? Because other schools do that. It is an opportunity to see how legislation and everything works. So I don't know if we wanted to maybe just reach out to Mrs. Vogel and see, is Ms. Kelsey done? Are there student leaders that are really interested in legislation and so forth, able to or willing to go that day as well? Again, it is a good chunk of the morning, so I don't want to, that's something Mrs. Vogel can decide, but I do think it's a real opportunity for students, and we've gone in previous years and seen many students attend. So if everyone, school committee members want to reach out to me and let me know if you're able to attend, and then I'll let Mr. Malone know, we'll coordinate who's going, and if any students go as well, I'm sure we can carpool in. All right, thank you. And then Commissioner's Weekly Update.
Yes, in your packet, we've included the March 10th update from the Commissioner, Mitchell Chester, on the amendment that was voted on and approved regarding the Mass Model Educator Evaluation System. On February 28th, they voted to, let me just first remind you of the original evaluation system. A teacher is in a 2-year cycle of evaluation. There's 5 steps in the cycle. There's the self-evaluation portion, there's the goal-setting portion. At the end of year one is a formative evaluation, where they roll back into self-evaluation and goal-setting, and then at the end of the second year, there's a summative evaluation. The original evaluation process included 2 separate ratings in that summative evaluation. One of the ratings was based on the teacher rubric, the standards teachers should be proficient in: curriculum planning and assessment, teaching all students, family and community engagement, and then their professional responsibilities, those 4 standards. The second rating that a teacher was originally getting was on student impact rating. That rating was based on student performance on assessments, both statewide standardized assessments and then what we remember being called the district determined measures, assessments that districts chose to rate a teacher's performance on. So 2 separate ratings. This amendment changes that and brings the rating into one place, and that is back into the standards, the 4 standards. And the reason is, over the past several years, districts found the process of using common assessments, whether it be statewide and common district determined measures, was a great process. What was really challenging and difficult for districts across the state to negotiate was, what would the impact rating be? How would we come up with a fair and calibrated rating system on student growth for all teachers? That, even in our district, we were not able to lift off the ground. So the amendment takes the impact on student achievement and puts it in standard 2, teaching all students. So teachers will still participate in the practice of looking at common assessments, looking at statewide common assessments, the big assessments like MCAS, and have those conversations with their evaluator at those different pieces along the 5-step cycle. They'll look at the data, they'll create goals around student learning, they'll self-assess, they'll look at data points more often and not only at one key time. And not only at the end, it will signify by starting the cycle, creating goals around student learning and re-looking at them, so that at the end, they're really being evaluated on their ability to teach all students and show growth to all students. So it's a new time. You know, it's the same educator evaluation system, but all districts will take the amended language, and then in our next round of negotiations with our teachers union, we'll need to rewrite some of that language that we have in our evaluation process here in Pittsburgh.
Does anyone have any comments or questions? So that's something that we've communicated to the staff, and then we forwarded that information along so everybody understands. Wonderful, that's great. Okay, moving right along to school committee matters of interest. We're going to start with you, Mrs. Bennett, this evening.
I'm all set. I just want to say thank you again, Brian. We will miss you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bennett. Mr. Francis?
Thank you. I echo what Mrs. Bennett just said, and I think it would be appropriate tonight that when we get to the adjournment of the meeting, I think that it being Brian's last meeting, he should make that motion tonight to adjourn the meeting for the final time. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. Mr. Cutler?
Thank you.
Thank you. And just for a future item, just so the other members know, I asked Mr. Malone to look into the July 26th school committee meeting. We had originally changed the other date based upon Mrs. Regan and Mr. Malone being at a conference. I'm actually away. I don't have a problem, but we're going to see if we can change that date to something that we're all present. If not, I would ask one of my colleagues to run the meeting, or whoever that chair may be in July, to run that meeting, but I would not be able to make the July 26th just based upon a family commitment that I already have. So that's something we'll take up at a later school committee meeting. And then I would just like to say that, again, Brian, it was a privilege and an honor to serve with you, and thank you for all you've done for this town. We will truly be missed, but not forgotten. And with that being said, our next school committee meeting will be April 5th, 2017, where we will start at 7 p.m. with a reorganization meeting, followed by a regular scheduled meeting at 7:15. Does anyone have any future agenda items? As always, if you do, feel free to reach out to Mr. Malone or myself in the time being prior to the next meeting. And I guess, Mr. Dick, would you like to make a motion?
Sure, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to end tonight's Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017, at 8:30, with the motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? My last meeting with Brian. And again, we can't say enough and thank Mr. Dick for his service. He will be truly missed. And everybody have a wonderful night, and we hope to see everyone April 5th, 2017. Good night. I don't know who seconded that, but they